Well, most of you know that I've been doing these yuccas since 2017.
You have to speak up a bit.
I've been doing these yuccas for since 2017. I got this one in 2017, and I actually picked this up on a trip to the neighborhood and just actually. And when they get to the point where you have to use a saw instead of your little shears, it's time to cut them back. That's the way I look at it. If you can get this around the trunk, you're better off. Let's just put it that way. So this is something that I'm planning to give away. I'm planning to give this one away. As a matter of fact, this one here is a part of a rather large group that I have. It's in a 20-gallon pot. And I'm up to giving that away also. When I planted this, it had a little bud like 1 inch here, so I planted it on a slant. And the yuccas like to grow towards the sun. So if you have it slanting, it's going to go slant-like. Here you can see where I've actually bent this trunk by using a wire. This half a pup, that's what they call these when they come off like that. They're called pups, P-U-P-S. And today I'm going to replant this into a larger container, knowing that when it comes to a yucca plant, you don't want to do a mamey with it. So I'm going to either go into this container, or I might even try to go into this container. I wanted to show these other examples also. This particular piece of yucca cutting here, you can see this. This actually has roots. That's why I'm holding it like this. It has roots, and this is up for grabs too. I'm going to give it away to somebody. First come, first serve. This one here was planted with this one in a container of 11 different ones. And this one started to show buds after 2 months, and then after 3 more months, it started to show roots. So I planted it. And so it has both roots and buds. But this particular one only has buds right now, no roots.
Will it grow roots without being in soil?
That's what this one demonstrates. It will grow roots without being in the soil. Now, when I place that back in the ground, you see this here? This particular one came off of here. And nobody wanted it in the club, so I threw it over next to the fence line to see what it might do, because all the ones that I found in the out there in the yards and such where I get them, actually they were just laying in the ground, and they either had a bud on them or they had a root on them. So what I did is I sliced it right here with that same hacksaw, and then I put it at an angle and wired it into the pot, got it braced up here. I'm not sure how many roots it's got right now because it hadn't been that long, but it's in soil. These are looking pretty good. This looks like it might be drying up a little bit. I think it's because that when I found this, it had these buds on it, but they were much smaller, and it had no roots on the end of it. So once I cut this off, I moved this back in the same spot. So then I went the other day just looking to see what was going on, and I saw this laying in the ground like this with those buds on it. So I picked it up to see what was going on. I've heard that expression, what came first, the chicken or the egg? Well, it was the chicken, but the thing is, when it comes to these yuccas, some will produce roots first, some will produce buds first. they seem to be totally uncontrollable. But I told Nigel Saunders that I coined the phrase palm tree style, because that's kind of what these look like. They actually call these various names: Adam's needle, Joshua tree, Spanish bayonet, yucca, and it's probably got a few other names, but they're easy to take care of. You can use, when they start getting brown tips, you know something's going on that shouldn't be going on, but you can cut them back a little bit. And usually, these here will probably be cut back next year. Right now, I'm just cutting this back. I'm going to relieve myself of this wire now. I don't need it anymore. It's come to that stage where whatever buds pop out, that's what I'm going to get. So just eliminate that because it doesn't look very good. All right. So you just kind of clean them off, and you can wait for the buds to pop out. But it will have at least one bud, I'm pretty sure. Let's see what else. I did a film recently where I blended my two monster yuccas together, and I had this in one of the pots of the other one. I had just put it in there like a few months before that, and when I pulled it out, it had massive roots. So this one is well rooted, and it's 3 pups on one shoot. So
How tall will that grow in a pot? In a bonsai pot?
well, I got one that's 45 inches tall, so they will get big.
As tall as you let them grow.
How tall will I let them grow?
As tall as you let them grow, they'll grow. There's no limit to how tall.
No, I mean, you've probably seen them around your communities, 10, 20 feet tall.
No, they're not in a bonsai pot either.
No, none of them are in a bonsai pot, but this particular one here, when I found it, it was in a big scrap pile, and it had a tremendous amount of debris around it. They cut down a rather large one to do that. So 41 days, this pup, it had no roots on it when I put it in here. It had this one bud here, and I think it had these 2 other little buds here, and now I see there's another pup coming out the side. So today we're going to see what kind of roots it's got. So it's not wired in here, so I'm just going to take my little chopstick here and pop out the soil and see what we got. I would show you on one of these bigger ones, but I don't want to mess with it. So there you can see the roots on it. It's not a tremendous amount of roots, but it's enough amount of roots to allow me to put it into another pot. So I can do sort of a showing style with it. And I'm not going to wire it into this pot either. Just sort of going to nestle it down there and then cover it over with the soil. You can kind of be rough with these things, I've noticed. They are one tough tree. Now Ron has one. He has one that has a trunk sort of the size of that long one there. And it had no roots on it when I got it, but it was in a pot with bonsai soil. So there's 2 in the raffle, and then the 4 cuttings are up for grabs. I don't know how you want to take them, or nobody wants to take them. But are there any questions that you might have about yuccas? Now, Nigel Saunders recently repotted his that he said he had all his forest in one pot for 7 years. And the size of the yucca plant, or the tops, were about the size of this one here. Once they sit into a pot for a long time, they will reduce in size, but also in vigor. I noticed that about his plants. Also, wounds. He was concerned about wounds earlier in some of his videos, and the wounds he noticed were starting to heal over. I noticed that with this one, it's healing over real well. This one's still a little rough, but you can see the healing. They do heal, and so it's just a matter of being patient. Like any other thing that you cut something large off of, it will take time to heal. So, last chance to ask any questions.
They remind me of my ponytail palm that I have, very similar. Must be family related.
Yeah, I think they are.
Do they ever get a flower?
Yes, they do. They do. But
I haven't seen them.
usually the stalks are like 4 feet long, so you wouldn't want.
Does the plant die after it blooms? I think it does, but it sends out shoots at the bottom.
Yeah, I think it finds a way to survive. That's what I've noticed about these. Even the ones that I discarded, you know, they found a way. I threatened them, you know, I threw them over, I think I threw 10 pieces like this over next to the fence. And one of them has, you know, thrown out buds. It had 6 months growing in ideal conditions. It wasn't growing, it was just sitting in sand and peat moss and various other things in a humidity chamber. And it didn't do anything. The only one that did anything was this one. It threw out buds, and then a couple months later I started seeing the roots form in the plastic container. So, but there they are. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you, Terry.